about happiness, and it's not ironic at all.
Not ironic at all.
It's not. I'm not trying to be ironic. I don't know what to say other than thank you. It's about 20 minutes long. Hopefully it goes away. Abundance is real and lack is an illusion, and this perspective further asserts that it has nothing to do with higher notions of being evolved in a different world with much less choice. I know secondary people, we didn't evolve for happiness. Our culture is all about selling an entire brain chemistry, the dopamine and the neurotransmitters for pleasure and happiness, and the nerve cells and the receptors and the chemical electrical impulses coming down, connecting the release of chemicals and the novelty of your surrender, which is real. Your surrender is real. And there's a promise that the answers are just right around the corner. And the wisdom tradition says that happiness is something no one can take away from you. In its various stages, I am not some kind of whole truth. The external events cannot take away from your inner peace. Back to square one, the detailed direction. And we evolved in a much different way. We evolved for survival. This is about making choices. Survival is about making choices. The first road is a road of pleasure, and we laugh either from joy or happiness. And joy stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, controlling rest and digestion and the functions of grief or joy. We'll see it from happening. We'll see it that you feel. We'll see that nothing else matters, and you lose the dopamine. You lose the dopamine as you age. It's a use it or lose it principle. The brain is a muscle, and it gets what you put into it. The mysteries of the mystics, and they long have linked joy to connection with a power greater than ourselves. There is a kind of connectivity with the holding on, which is just an illusion. 40% you control, 40% you live the life you choose. 50% is your DNA. You have a baseline happiness that you're born into, that you can affect 40% of it. 10% of it is things like how much money you make. But of course, can't buy happiness. Less, of course, it can, but sometimes it can. But what you believe about the sources or causes of happiness are simply not true. We overestimate how much impact good and bad things have upon us. Adversity is the heroine. Instead of the brain, it becomes used to its old fixes, the personal growth, the close connection, the community feeling, working ourselves to death. There are extrinsic goals like image and status. There is more happiness in the intrinsic, always stuck on north, your compass. That would be no good. Your emotions are a primitive, signaling methodology, and it is marvelous. It is marvelous how we're able to rationalize. It's an invisible shield that protects us from psychological pain. I will observe myself in difficult situations without judgment. This is the emotion I'm feeling. Mindfulness. It increases self-control. Mindfulness. It is noticing when new things are drawing, that when you are drawing new distinctions, when you are producing feelings of engagement, we protect ourselves, we project ourselves, we protect and we project ourselves into the future. We make a series of systematic errors, a miscalculation of presentism, the belief that we feel the future will be the way we feel today, because ego is recapitulated into the day when I go into bed observing every event of the day, this neutral kind of observer that I try to become, going into the discontinuity, the space between our thoughts as it arises and it will subside. Those things that are arising, they also will subside, and I try to cling to nothing, not even the now, but the now is better than the future, it's better than the past, because the now contains within it all of the things There is nothing to hold on to. There is nothing to hold on to, and there is no one holding on to it, because you are placing an awareness. You propel yourself powerfully into this moment, focusing on the breath, focusing on the orienting yourself in the now, not because it brings some magical property, because there it is, always, there it is with you, flourishing, well-being, joy, to the subjective well-being, into the forgiveness of trusting someone who has hurt you, and into the positive psychology of talking like we like to frolic into the best of all detoxified futures. We like to frolic into the best of all imaginary tomorrows, and the roots of unhappiness are often invisible, like the last lingering scent of a lollipop, and to the flare-up of your significant others, and to the practical duck-out. There is no simple exercise that you can do anywhere, anytime, to induce any kind of mindfulness, to induce the now. It is unrealistically optimistic for you to think you have nothing but unfounded optimism. This projection which can provide pleasure, and it can provide pain into the realms of those things, but what you need to do is you need to replace your fear. You need to replace your fear with forgiveness. You need to replace your fear-based thinking with a love-based thinking, manipulating yourself into taking responsibility for your now. You need to witness your feelings. The conditioning that you do to witness your feelings will say you feel the same. Every short story is about one thing, the past, your sensations and your emotions are now, of course, right now, in the present, this mindful present, this state of action, open attention, where your mind is free to observe your thoughts, free to observe from a distance, and without judgment, without possibilities of a future, without the burdens of the past, or even the burden of the future. You get to imagine, but you shouldn't imagine, because imagine implies outside of yourself. You need to make the most of time and lose track of it. You need to flow into the emotional state of well-being. You need to think about your choices. You need to think about falling into the universal domain of consciousness and break the rules. And on a good day, you'll get away with it, and on a bad day, you will die. And how can you be living in the moment if you're not even aware of the moment? Keeping attention so focused, it is the root of pleasure, it is the root of wisdom, it is the elimination from life, it is the temporary. Millions choose the temporary, and in the end, it is actually the source of change. The temporary. The brain becomes accustomed to its larger and larger doses of the old high. You want to live a good life. You want to imagine the frontal lobes flickering. You want to witness the consciousness of this world. You want to share your feelings, expand beyond your private perspective, devise your own ceremonies and your symbolic actions in order to purify your life of any kind of particular toxin. Take, for example, myself. I am an energy drainer. I am not a path of wisdom. Because you need to open up. You need to open up deeper levels of the mind. These actions that benefit others. This unrealistic optimism, this perception which can provide pleasure even in pain, and this stubbornly insistence being on turning out thoughts of the future. Human beings come into the world with passion of mindfulness, and everyone says they want to live now, but there is a paradox. There is a paradox in the celebration, in the time to move on. There is a paradox in the ending and the importance of the frivolity. But if you are feeling discouraged, depressed, or anxious, that will arise and that will subside. Those things that are born of rising are also born of subsiding. There is a law of impermanence. There is a conspiracy of all of the whole universe, and you should question your inspiration, and you should question your thinking. What kind of thinking is this right now that you are nourishing, flourishing, the subjective feeling from a distance, the feeling of a huge weight lifted? What stops us? What stops us is our fear of evaluation and our acceptance of absolute and our mindless ideas about mistakes. Because mistakes have you existing within a paradigm that you don't even get to agree upon. It doesn't even really matter. You read popular books and you make happy conclusions and you are threatened as an individual. And you need to feel insecurity. You need to hold your breath. You need to lose your breath. You need to breathe upon a retention of contest in which everyone is tossed as a drum and purple as a beat. Most products fail, and I hope they look back on a couple now about it, but who knows? Who knows? To have to embrace the failure, the space between thoughts. Are you participating in the right kind of thoughts? I will take a step to simplify. I will take a step to simplify my life, my subjective life, my individual experience of happiness, my baseline level of happiness. Are the beautiful happy? Well, 70% of people, when asked, will say that they are feeling okay. The fight or flight response, the sympathetic nervous happiness, the activated zone, the flow of synergy of different aspects of the consciousness where surfing is my religion, my harmony with nature, my brain is my muscle. I form substances by giving up being right, to assume importance, to assume that nature's flow is trapped, imposing, I am trapped, imposing my view upon the world. Happy people, what is it? What enables individuals to communicate and thrive? What can we do to become happier? Pleasure is the feel-good part, regardless of whether you had a good day or not. You can still be happy. We can measure it. We can measure it. Like we measure sadness. Like we measure depression. What do you want to get out of life? A neurobiological positive emotion that you can just pour in, waiting for your return. The joy, unlike happiness, which is not about staying together and that this is what makes us. It is about me. It is a connection. It is what we are building. A genuine deepness, a genuine happiness, finding a stillness, listening to the stillness. It is a good medicine. Listening to the stillness. For this reason, we are sensitive to dangers. Pleasure and positive reward systems are an opportunity for gain. Pleasure involves risk, conflict. Love hasn't failed. You are mindful of this fact, and every time the urge to fight deepens, and you accept this. You have been wounded, and you accept this. You have no problem that needs to be solved because you accept that there are problems. Mammalian evolution has hardwired the brain for a spiritual experience. And the most dramatic spiritual experience is joy, an aforementioned future which will turn out with time. And it is for the insecurity, which is the essential nature of reality. We are no one, and we are clinging to nothing. There is nothing to cling to, and there is no one to cling to it. The happiness is made of pleasure and engagement. It is a framework in which you describe yourself. It is how you describe yourself. We think if we had more money, more genetic factors like temperament and personality, we think about gratitude. 70% of people say they are feeling okay. We think about gratitude. We think about how we evolved. We didn't evolve for happiness. Serenity and a clear-headed, you get what you want. You name the conditions of loving. Joy and the interest in a different world where you can expand upon your own freedom. Hope in the positive now, the equally larger role of psychological pain, and you don't realize that you're even carrying it. We are marvelous at our rationalizations. We are marvelous petty interest of our raw position and our conspiracy of the entire total universe and our core laws of space-time causality, where everything in the relative world, those things that we cling to that aren't there, are impermanent. And our soul asks what our purpose is, and the higher purposes are secondary to what we are at our core, which is just an energy that you are creating. The world exists, it is automatically given, and it exists. And I catch myself wanting to be right. I catch myself wanting to be creating. I want to be shifting from being a victim. I want to shift from being a victim to being a creator who focuses on a present song of myself, about features, about these things that arise in my mind. Although I have heard it was a good time, although I have heard that I can control it, although the base resources are there, it is time to feel. It is time to feel the flow. It is time to be in the zone. Where nothing else matters. We're moment by moment. We're moment by moment. We keep going. And I won't sleep. And I can't breathe until you're resting here with me. And I won't leave. And I can't hide. I cannot be. There is no better way
until you're resting
to stop us into the present. And to breathe. To breathe. The scenery of your mind, rejecting some things, choosing others, eating upon experiment with
but I can't hide.
to join and those
And I won't go.
and we
And I won't sleep. I can't breathe until you're resting here with me. And I won't leave. And I can't hide. I cannot be until you're resting here. I won't go. And I won't speak. And I can't breathe until you're resting here with me. And I won't leave. And I can't hide.
unwanting
I cannot be
or unhappiness.
until you're resting here with me.
People cannot predict. No single event. Nothing is going to change it. I think it's fair to say by any conventional measure that there is failures. And if I had my life over, I should form the habit of nightly composing myself a thought of death, a happy death, an experience deprived of those benefits, a simple death. It is there, right? It is in our core. It is a knowledge we carry. It is happy. Within the sensible joy. And it is ridiculous. And it is ridiculous. But tomorrow there will be an experience of your being. There is something, this set point, this cheerful misfortune, which will disturb you, but it will only disturb you for a while. Within 6 months to a year, you'll be back to where you began because you have that set point.
You don't have
That goal that challenges you, but is not unattainable. Something you have to marshal your resources and stretch yourself to achieve, but you can still do it. People have a task, they receive direct and immediate feedback with your successes and your failure because something is wrong. Away from it. There is that acceptance. There is that acceptance of your
target.
Your feverishly capture your as if the youth is something unattainable. The solution is acceptance. Let the emotion be there. Suppose you don't. Fight those feelings. I hate feeling this way. Or you can accept, that you are sad. You can accept that you feel pain. You can accept that there will be a flow to this, and that you will find yourself sometime in the now, and in the static moments, devastated, static moments where you accept your life as a part of who you are, every part of your life, as who you are. There's no such thing as heaven without peace. The brain looks only at differences. At contrast, it contrasts.
And I'm not gonna say I don't mean that.
Which you can walk around smiling
The target
in the moment.
that I made.
In the moment, unpleasant and painful. Maybe to that time of the situation. And I don't know that you don't know. I don't know that I don't know. I don't remember that I forgot. Because I know something. I stopped paying attention to it. But if I started to pay attention to it, I realized that everything is different every time. Now it's different than it was now, than it was different now, than it is different then. And we take it all for granted. But right now, I don't have to. We don't have to. We can live in our core, we can live in ourselves, and let go of others, an external witness to the observable moment.
I'm going to say that.
Outside in here. Outside.